Mel here, and who do I have but Saint Murad? Welcome, Saint Murad, to the house.
Hello, Mel. It's always good to be in this house because it's our house.
Our house in the middle of the street, as that song goes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know that one. Um,
I'm surprised you know that one.
oh, I do. It's a significant day for Christians. Obviously, it's Easter Sunday, but this day should be written down. The date recorded, 31st of March, 2024. It's a very significant day. Why is that? Because Murad has finished the Arabic English Quran, the translation of the Quran. You have it side by side done as of today. Unbelievable. Tell us a bit about that. You actually literally got it finished today, Murad.
Yeah, you see, when I first started this endeavor, I was gonna make an English-only translation because I thought most people would not really need the Arabic side by side with the English as they are already English speakers. But I was surprised that a lot of people actually asked me. They told me, why don't you have two side by side? And that Robert Spencer's Quran is great, but it doesn't have the Arabic and stuff. So I considered it and I said, you know what? I will make both, one which will be English only and one Arabic English.
That's a
But when I
great
saw, yeah,
that's a great decision because I can just see how useful that would be, especially if you come across a word in Arabic and you're thinking, oh, wonder what the meaning of that one, and you want to search for that particular word, be really helpful.
yeah, and when I saw the Arabic English ones, other versions of other translators, I saw that they never run parallel in a very good way, and this is because they didn't make it in a sort of table like structure.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I will make a table that will have the Arabic and the English side by side, every verse next to the other, because in the English, um, most of the time the English sentence is just longer than the Arabic.
So it's out
So
of
to
sync.
have them, yeah, to have them very synchronized, you have to put them in table form. Then I will remove the table. So what you have is just like an invisible table, so that they run perfectly side by side. And given that I don't have any commentary, any brackets, anything, it's just gonna look amazing. So I finished it just today,
Amazing.
uh, and it was really very tiresome
Do you, do you
because yeah,
do you actually remember when you started it? What was the date?
I think uh, I finished it in 3 years.
Yeah, that's
Two
incredible.
years looking into no two and a half years
Yeah,
creating a concordance,
yeah,
and just a few months I translated the Quran
yeah.
because I just used my concordance. I didn't really,
Yeah.
in Arabic we say there is no need to study right before the exam. You either studied or you didn't.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
uh, I'm just gonna have to share this comment from Century. No brackets. How am I going to know what I'm supposed to think?
Yeah, it will be really the only Quran translation that doesn't have brackets in it.
That's great. It just means that you can actually work it out for yourself based on the text and not someone leading you along the way.
Yeah, if
Uh,
you didn't understand, just read more. That's the whole thing. It's just like in Arabic. In Arabic, if you didn't
yeah.
understand, you will try to read more, or you will go to the tafsirs, which is very bad.
Yeah. How? Sorry. Do you know the cost of it yet? Can you talk us through you've got different versions, I believe.
Yeah, uh, I didn't like the cost. I was gonna keep it like to the day I
Oh,
publish it,
okay.
but no, it's just that we don't have like uh, tons of people here. We only have the people who already know us, so no problem. I will have two offers. One will be $50 and one will be only $10. But the $10 offer it will be limited. Like
Yeah.
once they run out, they run out.
Yeah.
But the 50 offer, 50 bucks offer, it will have 4 versions. It will have 2 PDF and 2 Kindle.
Yeah.
And it will be the Arabic and the English only.
Yeah. The what's that one? Buy Me a Coffee webpage, which is in the description. If people want to be included in being able to get that cheaper version, that's the way to do it. We have John in the house. I'm just going to bring him in here.
Hello,
John.
Oh, g'day, John. How you doing?
Hey, great to see you.
just about time, man.
John Lee, the main man. Can you hear us okay?
I think he's muted.
Oh. You might want to unmute. Maybe there's background noise. 1 second. So
Yeah.
just unmute whenever you're ready there.
Yeah.
What is that in British pounds? I think that has Great British pounds. You said what, 50 euros? Is that what you said, or did you say
$50?
$50? Oh, let me see. What would that be? Probably about 40 sterling. 40 something sterling thereabouts. Yeah.
But that's for the full version. That's if you want to get the Arabic English PDF and Kindle, and the English only Kindle and PDF, plus a certificate that I will create for people who get this version, as this is the full version.
Yeah. But
I want to tell you something also, as John is coming. There are a few brackets in my translation, but hold on, don't be scared. These are not brackets. These are words that are not in the English. So I create a bracket so that I have the full scope of the Arabic word into this bracket. It's something that it just doesn't exist in English. Like for example, let's say معدودة ومعدودات. One means more than 11 days, and one means less than 11 days. How can I do this? If I just keep it like this, not in brackets, you will imagine that this is not one word. So I have to put it in a certain bracket so that you know that this is one Arabic word. It means more than 11 counted days. It's just a bundle of words that the English just cannot contain. That's the idea.
Yeah.
So my brackets read them as if they are part of the original text. They are part of the original text.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. Hey, I was just wondering, I've got maybe 5 questions. Is that cool?
Yeah. That is perfect. Good segue now. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it, man.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, congratulations, brother Murad or Aki. It's incredibly exciting to hear. The work so far, and wow, all that work and making that concordance is like the scaffolding. Incredible. I've got an interesting question because I remember hearing Robert Spencer being mentioned, and it's I've been trying to read through a few of his chapters, and it's funny when he's got the like tafsirs, but then when I'm actually interested in trying to find out the meaning of something, it's like blank. Because it's probably not exhaustive, but fair enough. But one word in Sura 256, there's a word called that he leaves untranslated. It's called tagut. I think it's called
tagut. Yeah.
Yeah, tagut. Did you find out what if you're allowed to say what that could be?
Well, this I also left untranslated, and the reason is this is not an Arabic word, and it does not exist in the Arabic dictionary. But taghut could mean something like the ultimate transgressor. That's why in the Muslims they have it as the devil. But this is a jump. I don't want to make this jump, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. And then oh yeah, because that's right. You're a translator, not a tafsir.
Yes.
So I've sometimes seen people offering with there's probably more verses like it, but the classic 929, the one that's calling for like jihad, is in Aramaic. Is it actually less violent when it goes into Aramaic, just based on your own findings?
Well, you see, and the problem is people sometimes they mistake that they think I know Aramaic. I do not know Aramaic. The idea is that I hear people who speak Aramaic, and I take the research and I share it with the English world, because this is not available for the English world. And as this verse, so honestly, I don't think that the Aramaic will make it a bit different.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess because that I guess leads me to, well, I guess one of my last couple of questions is, I remember you said that the so far when you look at the Quran itself in Arabic, it tends to talk more about business, and it's not really a religious book or a holy book.
Yes.
in that sense. But then it's like in Aramaic, it tends to be more Christian in a sense. Is that just because of the language, or?
Yeah, you see, in Aramaic, when it talks about Christ, then it makes a difference. But when you talk about the jihad parts and stuff, it's just as if they are Arabic at a later stage, and Aramaic will not help them. You know, it's as if the Aramaic parts are ancient and are Christ related, but the business parts and the jihad parts, they are just Arabic, and they're easier to translate. The Arabic itself in it is easier because it's newer.
Oh, yep. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Wow. So it could be the jihad is like how to haggle customers.
But you see, the word jihad, the word jihad is still a little bit hijacked, because this word itself just means making effort, and you can see this in a verse when it says, if your parents they make jihad against you so that you don't believe in Allah. So this is not that they are waging war or making holy war. They are just making a strong effort, physical effort against you. That's just the idea. But when you go into the sin, when the tafsirs, then it will automatically take the idea of shedding blood and holy war, and this is a later stage.
Oh yes, very, very sinful. No pun intended.
Very sinful. Yeah.
Awesome.
John, I'm getting feedback from you. Have you got the YouTube on in the background by any chance?
No. Oh, I've got it on, but I've completely muted it. So there shouldn't be anything going on.
That's all right.
Awesome. Last two questions. So I remember listening to a debate with I think his name was Balakrishnan. It was about the identity of dual name. Do you, and I remember, Murad, you said in Aramaic the meaning slightly changes. I think it's Sura of a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that was any because I was just curious about that. Was there any like a summary of like how it's different in your findings?
Well, the problem is I don't have a lot of Aramaic material now, because when I created the Arabic Quran, I just ignored it. So I worked only with the Arabic dictionary. But later, when I make the Aramaic translation of the Quran, I will take all of that into perspective once again. But right now, it escapes me now. That's the problem. I don't really remember.
Fair enough. And then last one that's I guess probably most interesting to some. I think the curiosity is I've heard from like watching other videos from like Sura International, and where I don't remember this guy. There's Al Fadi was saying, in Arabic. So the last, I think, Surah 66, verse 12. You know how it's talking about like the virgin birth or Maryam, and then is it really that graphic? And or how will your translation deal with it? Should we be letting kids read it? Is probably my
Well, you see,
question.
this is one of the verses that, John, there is a problem with I hear myself.
Oh, yep. So I think I'll just put the volume down on my phone. Wait, hold up.
Okay. All good?
Yep. I think that should be good.
Yeah. You see, these are. This is one of the words that I'm very proud to crack, because it's not that graphic.
Oh.
Because this same word you will find, and it's related to the sky. The Quran says that the sky doesn't have any furuj, which is the plural of farj. So that the sky doesn't have genitals? Hell no.
Oh yeah. Yep. Hello. Sorry.
But it's just like a gap. But this word with the sin, it got this sexual connotation to it. This is another sin.
Far out.
It's just something like a hole, you know.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Wow, that's really amazing. Thanks, thanks both. Yeah, that's wow.
No problem, and thank you for all the coffees. This is something that people must know. You gave me the most coffees to drink.
Oh, thank you. I think everyone will agree you deserve it the most, my brother. So yeah, hopefully you could get some Red Bulls.
Yeah.
All right.
Today, Monster
Awesome.
after the live stream.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Thanks,
John,
brother.
Thanks very much for dropping by.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. We're just going to introduce a new guest. Karen, you ready to join us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Hello there, Karen.
Hi there. How are you guys?
We're live on air.
Karen, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Yeah, beautiful day here. Absolutely gorgeous. This is pretty exciting, Mel. What a nice format.
Yeah, I just thought I fancied doing it. Something put it into my mind, and actually, I didn't know that Murad was going to have his Quran translation done today. So
amazing.
It's just like inspiration.
No kidding. Oh, I can hardly wait to get my hands on that, Murad. Oh, I just think this is just brilliant.
Thank you very much. This is the Arabic English one. The English one will be much quicker. Maybe it will take me a few days or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the Arabic English was very, very tiring. It was horrible. I had to copy paste manually over 12,000 verses.
Oh my gosh.
But it's for the people. It's gonna look amazing. So I said, you know what? I have to do it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be nice. It'll be really nice to have a Quran that we can look at and read and understand a bit better without. Well, somebody earlier on said all the brackets in the silly thing without a book telling us what to think as we're reading it. So it'll be really good to see that. I can hardly wait. And Mel, you've got to get a book on the go, my dear.
Oh, I do. I know. Well, every time I think of starting it, I'm going, oh no, I've just found something new and it's completely thrown the cat among the pigeons. So it's like, it's so hard to be definite on these things. But I've decided I'm going to start with, even if it's going to be just the first volume, maybe like 100-page thing. Yeah. Not see it as the all encompassing book, and then just keep release them every year or two. Yeah. So I might do it that way.
Well, that might be a good way. I can tell you my booklet, it's not a book. My booklet was delayed, and I finally, at Christmas time, anyways, and we had a computer accident, so all my endnotes were destroyed. So I'm trying to reconstruct those right now. Otherwise, it would have been off to the editor. But new information. There's just too much new information. It seems like every month. Oh no, I've got to go in and change that.
Yeah.
But I've just decided I'm not doing any other changes to it. It's
Yeah.
at some
It's
point,
an edition. Yeah.
Yeah, and you
just call it edition 1 or something.
Yeah, and just put a date. As of this date, this is the information that we had. And
do you want to tell everyone about your project? Because I think people
Sure.
would be curious.
Okay. Well, my project is a booklet, and I at first I aimed it. I was aiming it strictly for the schools, particularly Christian schools. My kids had gone to Christian school, and I got onto the subject one day because I ran into my vice principal. My kids are all graduated. They're been out of school for years, and we just got chatting. He was asking me what I was up to, and anyways, I told him that I was very interested in Islam, and I, had started on a master's degree and all that, and I said, I'd be really curious. I don't remember what my kids learned about Islam in school. So he said, oh, here's the teacher's name. I'll let her know that you're going to contact her, and she'll give you all the entire course, what we teach. Well, it was the standard Islamic narrative on steroids. It was just, on crack, I should say. It had been toned down a little bit, but basically same God, same, we believe in Jesus, the whole 9 yards. And I looked at it and I said, no, we can't have this. So I quickly wrote up some information for her, a slideshow. And I got thinking about it afterwards, that, oh my gosh, the schools need more resources than this. So I've made up a booklet. I've tried to keep it so that one page is one topic, although I haven't been able to do that for every single topic. But it's just a real simplified booklet with, I think I've got 8 pages of endnotes. So there's lots of resources there if anybody wants to look anything up. It's just being edited right now. My editor is a little bit slow, but she's amazing. And I'm hoping to have it out. Well, hopefully I can get the endnotes all reconciled, I don't know, probably within the next month, because I have to look up everything again in all the books, right? And anyways, and then I hope to have this for sale on Amazon and to the schools by the end of the year.
Wow, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And something that's also helped a couple of other persons. I was sitting once. I hadn't played golf, but I had. We were all having lunch after the boys had done some golf, and one guy just happened to mention that his daughter had married a Muslim, and she's living in Switzerland, and he doesn't know anything about it and why she won't talk to him, and she's totally black from head to foot. And he says, I don't know anything about it. He says, you can't read that Quran. It doesn't tell you anything. And so I just sent him my draft, and he just found that it was so simple, and it's not frightening because it's not a big book. And if you just open it up and pick a topic, most of it, like I say, is 1, maybe 2 pages. So it's not overwhelming, but it's full of really good information.
Yeah. Like back in the 80s, I remember they used to teach in schools about Columbus, and the story that the version they were telling was that in the Middle Ages, people thought the world was flat, and Columbus was this sophisticated guy that knew the world was round. And then years later, I discover actually that's all just a made-up story that came from a novel in the 19th century, and this myth had taken over, and people just didn't challenge it. All these academics just ignored the silly story and didn't. It was taught to generations of kids, and it had an anti-religious agenda attached to it, of course, because it was basically all these Christians back in the Middle Ages, like the bad guys. Columbus was one of the good guys and all that kind of stuff.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's great. What you're doing is fantastic. It's that's the generation that you kind of have to educate, and like schools are great about talking about critical thinking skills and all that, but actually when it comes to it, they're not really that great with stuff like this because they don't want to touch it, you know.
Well, they don't want to touch it, and plus, where do you turn to? You know,
Yeah.
most people don't have a clue about the task spheres. They don't know really anything about Sharia. You know, you pick up that. Well, if I was in my other office, I had everything all out. But the reliance of the traveler, and just how easy it is to look up all this stuff. But just starting out, like, where there's so much information. So that's why I thought I would do this booklet, and I've made up a bunch of assignments and stuff like that as well for teachers if they want to use it. I just have to get AI to help me with some puzzles and word searches and stuff like that, and then I think we're done.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see the impact that's going to have. It's going to completely change things, and hopefully, Canada is associated with all the worst stuff. It's the woke agenda and all that. It'd be amazing if Canada was the starting point of something different, something positive for a change,
Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be true? Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing that I'm going to do, even before this spring, is and I thought about doing it today when I was in church, but there's two. They had a huge big baptism. They had about 6 persons being baptized, and it's Easter, so I thought, okay, I wouldn't grab the pastor, but what I want to do is I want to bring. Dr. Smith said that he would come up here and speak to us, because we've actually got quite a large Muslim population here, which has just expanded in the last 2 years. It's just unbelievable. But nobody knows anything about Islam. And of course, the Ahmadi group that's up here that I had trouble with a few years ago, because the other thing is I lecture to senior citizens groups. I do it. Yeah, Dirk. Yeah, you could be right. I got kicked out of a seniors group. They were going to actually bring a human rights complaint against the senior center for having me there, because I wasn't into saying, Muhammad's a pedophile and all the rest of that. I just, basically, the guy got really mad at me because I was talking about predestination and the fact that under Islam, Allah made Muslims as slaves, whereas we're children in Christianity. And we got into a big kerfluffle over that, and I got kicked out of there. And but yeah, and the Ahmadi group is quite good about, they hold all these interfaith things here, and yeah, it's not good because they all lie, It's just really all lies.
I witnessed a baptism of an Iranian last night, and it was just incredible to see that happening,
Wow.
But to see, how many did you say was baptized? Was it 6, did you say, or was it 8?
Oh, there was about 6. There were about
6. That's amazing.
6 today.
That's
There was actually more. Our church had, what they did was they had the testimonials from about 12, and they had taped it, and the church I go to is massive, and so it's got 2 big screens, and so they had all these testimonials, but they didn't do everyone today. Otherwise, it would have taken all day. But yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, it seems like everything is kind of coming together, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got your booklet coming out. Murad has got his translation. I need to get my finger out and start writing.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
It's my project for April and May is to get started and gather the stuff. I have it all spread over. I can't even count how many PowerPoints. It must be hundreds of PowerPoints. So it's all spread. So I just have to kind of try and put it in orders. It's going to give me a headache just trying to order it all. But
I know. But it's doable.
Yeah, I think what I might do is I'll just put it all in a Word document and ask AI to make sense of it and put it into a nice order, because it's brilliant for doing stuff like that.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it is brilliant for doing that.
It's not great for other things, but that, I'd say, it'd probably be pretty good.
Yeah, and it's good for word searches. Puzzles, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other news with you, Murad?
Well, I was just caught up in the chat, so
They're just gone quiet there. I was just trying to bring you back in.
I was just reading the chat. I just wanted to tell you also that about baptism. Actually, Christianity is kind of exploding in the Middle East, but in secret. So there are tons of baptisms happening almost every day, but in secret. Because people, when they leave Islam, they go to atheism or Christianity. They don't. There is no third option.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in the future you will find that there is an explosion in people actually converting to Christianity in the Middle East.
Yeah, I think it's going to take off like no one's business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to talk to you later, which might be relevant now, is there was a recent study done of the Turin Shroud, and like previously, they had done a what you call carbon dating test back in the 80s, and they said, oh, it's a medieval forgery, and people just said, okay, that's it, done, dusted. But they did a really bad job. They broke every rule when you're doing a carbon dating testing. And then there was one woman that basically examined the stitching and said that's first century stitching from Israel, typical stitching from that. Someone else did a study and found, was it 40 to 50 different pollens that are flowers from Israel. I think it was specifically around Jerusalem.
From Jerusalem.
And
yeah, I know that from Jerusalem.
But then recently, someone did another study which discovered that the flax came from the western part of Levant, which completely just proves three different pieces of evidence prove that it at least was created in Israel, which that undermines the whole idea of it being a European forgery, I would have thought, apart from other things as well. But John has come back to us.
Can I just add on to, there's a really interesting chat on Pints with Aquinas on a priest who's very interested in that shroud, and it's about a 2-hour talk. It's so fascinating. Would be well worth the time. Take it to listen to.
Yeah, I must look that up. I know Lloyd is was in the chat there. Feel free to come on at any stage if you want to join in the discussion. If Murad, if you see any questions that you want to address, feel free as well.
Okay.
If Karen has any question about the Quran translation, anything before it actually launches.
Do I have anything about it? So I'm imagining then it's a fairly big book.
Yeah, but it's only PDF and Kindle. It's not a book.
Oh, you're doing a PDF. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So with your concordance, are you setting it up like a dictionary? So if I wanted to look up a particular word, I would be able to, go in like a dictionary, or have you made up the concordance more for yourself? So the Quran is based on that.
Yeah, it's the second option. It's the concordance. I have built it, but it's very, very amateur. It's only for me to understand it. But
okay.
But the idea is that if someone reads and he knows Arabic and English, he is not gonna need the concordance. But the concordance is like the know-how. That's why I didn't put it for sale. But
right.
But my translation is very consistent, almost over 90% consistency. So if you read it from beginning to end, you will find that it actually has very few vocabulary.
Oh, okay.
Why is it very few? Because the word choice is very accurate, that I didn't choose multiple words. So it's only one word.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Great. Well, I can hardly wait to be able to get it.
Yeah, I hope I will start selling it around May.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Oh, Mel, when you're away at the
Yes,
your wonderful seminar.
In Nara's event, yes. I am so looking forward to that in a few weeks' time. But that's another thing I have to do preparation for, because I'm going to have to start reading the academics' papers beforehand, which I don't know if it's going to be possible, but even maybe just take a glance over so I know where they're coming from.
Mel, I want to just answer this very quickly. Hegel.
Yeah.
He's asking about the price. Yes, one will be $10 and one will be $50.
$50.
That's it. So because the $50 are actually 4 products, 2 Kindle and 2 PDF. So that's for people to know.
Yeah.
Have you mentioned about samples of your book?
Yeah, the free sample, it will be like Surah 1 and part of Surah 2. And this will be a free sample for people who are skeptic. They can just look at it, because just from the beginning of Surah 2 or even Surah 1, they will know that this is a totally different translation, because it is 100% original. I didn't build on another translation. I have looked at these other translations later, once I finished the Concordance, and I laughed. I said, these are not... this is like if you have the Mona Lisa and then you draw it at home and you say, well, this is the original. It's a joke. Yeah, it might look like it, but it's a joke.
Do you want to take that question, Murat? What does...
The word Arsh, it's known to mean throne. So like the throne of Allah. But I know why he is asking, because I have written in my community post that the word Arsh does not necessarily mean throne. With time, it morphed into throne, with the sin and with everything. But this word Arsh, it has to do with gardens. The word means trellis. So the trellis of God, which is the garden of God, the heaven of God, is over the waters. And when you think of a flat earth, then you know exactly what the Quran is saying. This is maybe like secret knowledge or something. These are the secrets that I will be putting out for people later in the future.
I wonder, is that in relation to the idea of paradise with vines and grapes growing on the trellis?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So God is not sitting on the throne. It's his trellis, his garden.
Yeah.
Would that relate to the temple as well, where God was, that section behind the curtain?
Well, you see, this is
in Judaism. Yeah.
This is the moment where I just don't have a clear answer, because now I jump from being a translator to trying to interpret. So I really don't know. But this is for the future, for when the translation it circulates with a lot of people, then we will start asking these questions, because it is possible. It is possible what you are saying, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And when will the sample be ready?
Maybe this month, meaning April.
Okay.
Maybe in April, by the end of April. And the people who are already on my email list, they will get it first.
Yeah.
Because I'm still making the marketing campaign. I'm actually making a very big PowerPoint, because when I collaborate with people, I don't just want to give them the sample. They will say, we don't care. It's just another Quran translation. So you have to ease them into it by destroying the other Quran translations first, so that they know how bad it is. Then you give them the sample. So this is what I'm gonna be doing. So it might be at the end of April.
If you know any Muslims, it might be a nice thing to send them aspirin this month, so because they're all going to have a lot of headaches.
And also with the last revelation, Mel, about that there is no pigs in the Quran. We're not going to say what it means, but I told you before. So they will be very angry about this.
Oh yeah. It's going to completely change things.
It'll be really interesting to see what Muslims will say about it.
And Karen, because I have the concordance. They will say, well, this word doesn't mean this. I will tell them, okay, let's go to another verse which has the very same word. Why are you jumping when we go to another verse? It's the very same word. That's the moment where he will actually get silent.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very
Here
cool.
he says, what does Araban Atraban means? To be honest, I don't know. And this one, I've left it the way it is because this might be like 100% Aramaic. And it's something that I don't know.
Oops.
Oops.
I think that's Lloyd going to join us there, but we'll come back to him a second. I see another comment there from Hegel. So it's very similar there.
We have Gharix.
It's kind of crude shelter, country hut.
Gharix is garden. I don't know, but remember the word garden in the Quran when it says.
Oops.
This is.
One of the dangers
Lloyd.
when you join the thing, you just make sure that it's a good time to join.
Yeah, this is not Lloyd. I don't think it's him.
No.
This is Lloyd.
Yeah.
It is. He can't activate his camera.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm just going to warn him about. I don't know if you can hear me, Lloyd, but when I've tried to add you, there's a lot of noise in the background, so maybe you want to do something about that. I'll try you one more time, see. There's
Kids.
No. Bit of noise in the background, Lloyd. If you can, I don't know, maybe the family are having a row or something.
Yeah, I wanna just answer this before we lose it.
Yeah.
The word garden in the Quran, it means a small garden, and this is something that people, when they translate, they never do it this way. They say heaven, but this is not heaven, and it's not paradise. It's a small garden. How do I know? Because there is a verse in the Quran which actually says that a parable of two people, and each one owns a Jannah. So you can own a Jannah, which is a small garden. You're not going to own paradise or forest. You see? So this was the importance of the concordance, so that it gives you the like almost the correct answer, the ultimate answer.
Yeah. It's amazing, Murad, just what you've done. Oh my goodness. Really, I can hardly wait to get this from you. Gosh.
Thank you very much. And I myself can't imagine how I did this because I am an amateur. I have never actually studied this stuff. I just said, you know what, I'm going to put the effort, and that's just it. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, well, it has. You've been working on it really, what's that, 3 years now?
Yeah, maybe 3 years, I think.
I think it's closer to 3 years you've been working on this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lloyd, welcome.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Happy Easter. Blessed Easter, everyone.
Blessed Easter.
Hello,
yeah.
Lloyd. Good to see you here.
Yes, Murad, congratulations. Well done. Very well done.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the coffees.
You're very welcome. You earned them. I should have given you a few more coffees.
Thank you.
It's definitely a big encouragement when you're kind of working on something for such a long time. But,
yeah,
can't believe we finally got here, because it seems like it could take years and years and years. You know, it was such a big, onerous task.
I'm actually very curious to compare the translation with the material in the Encyclopedia of Islam, which is the gold standard from Brill. I mean, that's what, $40,000, as well as the Encyclopedia of the Quran, also by Brill, which is another gold standard. It'll be interesting to see the academic versus what Murad did.
Yeah. And I suppose to see whether the academics are being influenced too much or not by this Sen. That'd be interesting.
I'd agree. Already, I found numerous, shall we say, watered down translations, or shall we say, small alterations within at least in the Encyclopedia of Islam, certainly. So, it will be very interesting to see how Murad shakes up things in academia.
I think this question might be one for you, Lloyd. Do you have any thoughts on how much Yemeni paganism ended up in Islam? I'm sure you have loads,
well,
I'd say.
So think of it this way. So you've got Yemen, which features heavily in the history of Arabia in terms of its influence, its power, its wealth. Queen of Sheba, think of that. They were militarily, financially, and trade-wise and culturally dominant across Arabia. There is the possibility suggested by some scholars that the Babylonian religion, the moon religion with Sin, the moon god Sin, actually went from Yemen to Oman to Iraq, not from Iraq across the Fertile Crescent and down. But let's just say, at least not originally. So let's just say it went from Arabia across into Iraq and then back down again. But it would seem that it probably became more sophisticated under the Babylonians. It changed somewhat and then came back, and then they reabsorbed it. So it blanketed the entire area. And you can see how this is played down in the Islamic sources. So it was the dominant religion, it was the dominant culture, and thus it was absorbed. But remember, the only museum that had all of these pieces was in a specific area of Yemen that the Saudis bombed. I mean, they specifically targeted that museum, and they bombed it to smithereens to hide that evidence.
Yeah. Very good. Anyone like to bring up any other topic? This is kind of
someone said,
free-flowing.
were there many words that make no sense in Arabic? I mean, just maybe on that topic, those nonsense words are said to be part of, at least from the work that I've seen, these are incantations that are gibberish that allow you to disassociate from your rational mind, so that you can enter these mental states which allow you to do these magic spells which allow you to commune with Allah, right? To enter through the 99 veils and pierce the 99 veils and end up in Allah's throne room and then commune with Allah directly. So there is that. Although, I mean, maybe with Murad's work, we'll find that they may have some sort of parallel in Aramaic or another language.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be part of an incantation that is said.
The other side of it could be that it's coded on purpose. So it's kind of making reference to something or someone at the time. They don't want to say it directly. So it's kind of insiders referencing going on, like an in-joke. But depends. I think you'd have to probably look at it case by case.
I want to tell Lloyd a surprise. The word incantation actually is in the Quran. The word a'udhu, ta'wiza, is in the Quran. But they never translate it this way. They say, I seek refuge. No, you do not seek refuge, you incantate.
No way.
Yes, and you know the very final Suras, Lloyd. Sometimes they are part of the Quran and sometimes they're not. Why? Because they're incantations. They are called al-mu'awwidhatayn, the two incantators.
I've been saying this for years.
So you will find this word in my translation. I incantate by God. This is just by Allah. This is just how I have it. Because this is ta'widha. This is
this
sorcery.
This was a huge part of Babylonian culture. They have all these incantation bowls from that very period all around Baghdad and that environment. So this doesn't surprise me at all.
That's amazing. That actually adds a piece now that I've been looking for, because I'm also doing some work on the pre-Arabian or pre-Muhammad, pre-Islamic connections with the jinn, which were actually a major part of the culture. And within the pre-Islamic era, it's not just jinn. These are effectively demons that would possess, or at least temporarily possess people to give them great power. So there's something there, but with magic.
There's also, bear in mind as well, though, that the people who are using the word jinn are also referring to the Gaonim as well. So there's kind of a double use. By calling them the jinn, it's kind of playing words that also is saying they're demons, like, you know, they're...
Yeah, no, agreed. No, look, I mean, they do that
There's
with
that, all
Abraham,
of that
right?
double... So
No, they
that
do
double
that
layers.
with I mean, they do that with
Not
Abraham as
disagreeing
well,
with you, but...
which I've discussed. But in this case, I specifically mean the desert demons, the spiritual demons, the spirits, in this case.
Yeah, let me tell you something else, Lloyd. The word Majnoon in the Quran, they always translate it as madman.
Yes.
So they say, and Muhammad was not a madman, your companion was not a madman, but Majnoon comes from jinn. It means he was not jinn possessed, and this is something like as if they are trying to answer the satanic verses or something like this.
Yeah.
He is not
this
jinn
was a
possessed.
major part of pre-Islamic Arabia. This whole jinn possession, it was critical. It was it was a standard aspect of the culture which they had to separate from. But so I was, man, this is amazing news. Thank you, Murad.
You know, this translation is going to be brilliant for bringing so many different angles together, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Can you imagine being an imam trying to explain everything when this comes out? Hey, folks, I'm really sorry. We thought it meant the other thing.
But I read from Brill that many of the Quran translations we have are really just paraphrases of the tafsirs.
Yeah, this is it. When I've read them, I said, these people, they don't have any dignity, and they don't have any fear. They don't know that maybe one day someone will expose them. These are very bad translations.
Well, this is brilliant. This is brilliant, Murad. So where do I send the money? How soon can I just where do I seriously?
No, you've sent enough, man. That's enough.
So where do we get this again? It might be good just to mention, because I see a couple of new people on here. It's through Buy Me a Coffee.
Yeah, the people who are well, I will be putting it, of course, in the community tab and in the new videos, and so it will be very easy to find. It's just a link, and people will find it.
Right.
But I remember, you know, Mel, there is this tradition about Ibn Mas'ud. He was one of the companions of the Prophet, and he always it tries to scratch off the final two surahs of the Quran. He says, I don't want the two mu'awwidhatayn. The only way to understand this is by using the word that I've used, which is incantations. He doesn't want incantations in the Quran.
Wow.
You see? That's the only reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
That's
why they always
brilliant.
say the final two surahs of the Quran are not part of the Quran, because they are these incantations. And when you read the final surah, when it says, I incantate by the deity of the people against the women who make magic and who actually make this hissing noise like a snake into the knots.
Wow.
Because it's all incantation, you can think of Harry Potter while reading these last two surahs.
Yeah.
This is all part of pre-Arabian or pre-Islamic magic. This was part of their culture. It's there, but they're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was massive in Iraq, and it went on for centuries and centuries in Judaism. It wasn't just purely a pagan thing. It was just accepted as part of Judaism.
Someone mentioned Edessa. I mean, the Sufis apparently claim that when they conquered that part of the world, eventually the Muslims, they took over that massive college of magic that had been founded by Nabonidus, and they took the ancient wisdom with them to Spain, and they claim that they are possessors of the ancient Egyptian secrets, the ancient Egyptian secret religion, and this also contains these rituals and magic spells, but also it is derived from the original Hermeticism, Hermes Trismegistus. So I want to eventually sort of take that part and investigate that in Islam. So this translation might be very helpful to unpack the ritual magical part and the Hermetic part of Islam.
Absolutely.
Murad, did you find anything to do with Hermetism or Gnosticism or any terms to do with additional magical terms?
I think the only no, but the word mentioned with Moses is always magician. But I think sorcerer is a better word, and it's always countered by this incantation. So when you find sorcery, you incantate. That's the only thing that that I can remember actually right now.
Okay, now that's interesting. No, these threads are very interesting.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm.
There's another message here from Hegel. There's also jander, which in Yemeni means hard fruit, but in Maltese means hard stones. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about because I don't know why now I remember the missiles. Stars are missiles, but this is a hoax, of course, because the word rujum and rajm people translate as stoning, but it doesn't mean stoning with a stone. It just means throwing. So throwing something, just as simple as that, is not missiles. Because the devil is cast out and you throw him away. That's just what the word means.
So it's an awful lot more mundane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of the place beginning with H near Odessa, and it escapes me. Haran, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say about Nabonidus. He was one of the people that promoted the cult of Sen in the 6th century BC. Mm-hmm. And they had inscriptions. I mentioned this before, but I might as well bring it up again. The inscriptions were put on these stela, and they were buried under a mosque in Haran, and then they were discovered in the 1950s, proving that this was being promoted that long ago, so 2,600 years ago. Wow. So, there's a lot of evidence that comes together there. Thank you so much to the Sheikh. Thank you so much. Did you want to? I don't know if this is the right time. Did you want to talk about the parallels between Martin Luther and the Hadiths today, or is that something you'd like to do another time?
I mean, I don't want to steal Murad's thunder, but the question did come up, and I can try to briefly touch on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Murad, this will be interesting as well when I get to your translation to read through and see parallels here. Okay, so Martin Luther also has a series of hadith. They're called table talks. Before they were called table talks, they were called the divine discourses. His students, many of them were major theologians, priests who were very influential people, who wrote them, swear that they recorded this material faithfully. And the material was all lost. It disappeared for many years. And then miraculously, one was found under his house. And they say it was miraculously preserved, perfectly preserved. So the words of Martin Luther were discovered, perfectly preserved, and then restored to the world, the divine discourses, right? And so there is this interesting parallel that in this 16th century period, you've got, and just like with Islam, many Protestants will make the claim that, oh, these are weak hadith, effectively speaking. But his students swear that these are legitimate recordings of what he said, and they faithfully recorded it. However, what I am finding is certain Islamic parallels. He says things, he does things that are, for instance, they allow polygamous marriage. Muhammad was for polygamous marriage. He allowed it and practiced it. And then within the Lutheran camp, he and his followers permitted polygamous marriage and said there's no prohibition in the Bible against it. And in fact, there is positive evidence for it. And that's just one example. But there's also, you can make evidence for Protestant jihad and other issues which are very Islamic in parallel that I've been discovering.
If I just present a few things are said about Muhammad. Can you just let us know if you can see? Have you discovered any parallels with Luther? And the big question
this is very disturbing. So this is very disturbing. I just recently came across this. This is written by two very well-known Protestant historians and theologians. These are Lutheran pastors, shall we say? These are Lutheran theologians, highly qualified in their field. So Muhammad's urine, the drinking of urine for the purposes of health. And now I've got no reason to assume that these pro-Luther authors are trying to, but can I say the word, the SH1T word?
One
now?
T.
Can I say that word?
I think we're all grown up. I think it should be okay.
Martin Luther drank pig shit for his health. He also ate horse, the same thing, apparently for his health, which means that he was coprophagic. He ate poo, to put it politely. And Muhammad, so the word coprophilia just came up in the text above.
Yeah. This is here. Yeah. So this is actually talking about Islam here, and it's interesting what you're saying. And the big question, just in case people are confused, we don't know yet which came first. Is it the Luther stuff or the Islam stuff? Like which came first? Because it could be that Islam was borrowing from Luther's biography to get their equivalent, or it could be the other way around. We don't know yet. But like, look at some of this stuff here. Talking about Muhammad's feces, it wasn't bad smelling.
Yeah.
This kind of things, and it's all about his phlegm, his spit. His sweat.
Luther was an extremely sickly. Like for instance, there's a story of Luther's sweat. He was very unclean. He failed, for instance, to clean his bed, and apparently, in one instance, his sweat rotted the straw that made up his mattress. And these stories are presented, obviously, in a very favorable light, but put together, well, once you collect them all together, they paint a very dirty picture of a very dirty man.
Well, Muhammad was better than him because, according to this, Muhammad's sweat was the most fragrant perfume. So one up on him.
Yeah, but Muhammad's poo also smelled sweet, and the trees would walk with him and cover him, and the rocks would walk behind him and cover him, and all of these stories as well, which are
there is a tradition I remember, but I don't remember, of course, the book. One of these weird Islamic books that has that Muhammad, one time he was an imam in a masjid, and then he had to spit. So he spit in the ceiling, and it just dangled there. It kept dangling, and the mu'mineen, the believers, they just sat down waiting for it to drop so that someone would rub his skin with it. It's it reminded me, if in marriage, if someone is gonna the bride is gonna throw the flowers and someone needs to catch it.
disgusting.
But spit version. This is but I forgot that there was no masjid when Muhammad was alive. So
Yeah,
very heinous, very stupid stuff, actually.
No, I'm pretty sure that there's. I'm more certain that there's because when I read historians talk about Luther, they mention things that I've got no direct access. Even despite my sources, I can't find it. But I think that they have access to sources which are under lock and key at academia or at some church location somewhere. That they are seeing things that we are not allowed to see, which could be extremely damaging.
Yeah,
I really like the work. Mel, I just want to tell Lloyd that I admire his work on Charles Darwin, because this is someone that really needs to be flogged more than Muhammad. This guy is very bad, man.
I'm going to suggest something here, that the common element might be that in the 16th century, in order to prove that someone was like a prophet or a messiah figure, that they needed evidence like this stuff, even though it looks really weird to us now. There's something along those lines, because the idea of that the prophet had to be illiterate. This is like a motif that reappears century after century with different figures. So this could be another element of it. It's a peculiar one. I don't have the answer to which came first, but the parallel seems too similar for just to be a coincidence, I think.
Yeah.
But Mel, remember the word Ummi in Arabic, it means one is from the nation. Ummah is a nation, and Ummi is one of the nations, meaning he is not a Jew. So this unlettered or that he doesn't know how to read or write, this comes from the sin later.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned urine. I mean, Muhammad was of the Arabs. Luther was of the German prophet, quite literally. But also, there's a story of Luther who apparently had kidney stones, and he drank too much water and he was in pain because of the kidney stones. And he was on a ride with a cart, a horse and cart, and the carriage bumped on a stone or hit a pothole, and this somehow dislodged the kidney stone, and he was able to discharge like a couple of liters of urine. Now, of course, what they don't say is he was sitting in the carriage at the time, and they say he discharged like up to 3 liters of water or whatever it was, which means that he wet himself in the carriage with whomever he was with. And so, why don't we get told this in history class that Luther basically took a wee all over himself?
Yeah, it's all very weird. It's very hard to explain all of this stuff.
Monday Dollar says, I think the main issue is unlike Catholics, Protestants don't think Martin Luther is infallible. That would be a lie. Without Martin Luther, you wouldn't have Protestantism.
Right.
Martin Luther is the soul and ground source of your 5 solas and all sorts of the whole idea, the whole concept of Protestantism comes specifically from Martin Luther. And then we're mischaracterized Luther, who was a Catholic, who hated the word Lutheran. He was very much the first Protestant. So he might have been a Catholic. Well, Hitler was also a Catholic until the age of 12, and he absolutely despised the Catholic Church. When you read Martin Luther's works, he absolutely hated the Pope, hated Catholics, and hated the Catholic Church. So you deny his authority, you simply lie about it. Martin Luther is critical to Protestantism, and you repeat him without, even despite the fact that you deny this, you repeat his doctrines, you repeat his statements, you repeat his lies. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, we're going to move on. It's a bit of a hot potato, that one. But Murad, do you believe certain suras like Surah Al-Hazab were written later than others? Any thoughts?
Yes, I do, because of the way it's written. You see, the very final suras could be the most ancient, and these suras are the ones which have the Aramaic and the Hebrew. But the very first suras are the most recent, and they are the Arabic. Because I think in Surah Al-Ahzab, which is the one which has Zayd being the son of Muhammad.
Yeah,
this doesn't have words that are strange or not Arabic. And I want to say something also to the people that I'm sure they did not know. The word wife does not exist in the Quran, only the word woman. So when it says to the Prophet, tell your women, it's just tell your women. Maybe it's not just wives, it's other women. Yeah, exactly.
So that sort of got me thinking. Are you, is your Quran, will it be in numerical order? How are you organizing it?
Yeah, it will be exactly like the Huffs. So it will just be not according to the revelation, because I think that this is a hoax, of course. So there is no revelation. So it is in this order. And I think that this order is correct somehow because of the names of the prophets. The prophets mentioned, for example, Ibrahim is written in a more ancient way in Surah 2 than he is in later surahs. So there is an evolution going on.
Right. Oh, okay.
And also, for it not to be confusing for the people, I just went with Huffs, and because this is the standard of today, at least.
Right. Yeah, and that'll make it easier to I mean, I'm number one, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, but I'm also looking forward to seeing how we've been deceived. And so it'll be really nice to be able to have the Huffs open and yours open to see, it'll be almost like looking at the Sahih International, which is a nonsense translation. But yeah, that's great, Murad. That's really great.
Yeah, Sahih International is very bad. Abdullah Yusuf Ali also very bad, and Mustafa Khattab horrible. And I've listened to these people talk, not Abdullah Yusuf Ali because he died a long time ago, but I've listened to the translators talk. Anything they have said, I have listened to, and I don't like these people like on a personal level. These people are deceivers. I can see it in their eyes, and they lie through their teeth. And this I will expose in future videos, because I want to bury these translations so that no one looks at them again.
So
excellent.
What is the major, in terms of their deceit, in terms of their translations? What are they hiding? What are they? I mean, what's the consistent pattern that you're finding?
Well, the most thing that, like, there could be a good translator in terms of language. He is capable linguistically, is not bad. But the moment you go to Jesus Christ, these people, they go nuts. They break all the rules. They ignore any dictionaries. It's always Jesus or the angels. You see, anything that has to do with the angels or God or Jesus, they will totally destroy it. That's why when you read in my translation, you will find that it's very different, even than maybe Osama Dakduk. Very different. The moment the author is talking about Christ, they lose their minds. And that's very bad. Like, for example, when they say Jesus never died. Well, there is another person who actually died using the same word in the Quran. How do I know? Because he left the inheritance. So did he die, or did he also sleep and God took him up? What's going on, guys? Be smart about it, Jesus definitely died in the Quran. So this is Quran by Quran. I'm not looking at an outside source to have this.
Murad, can I ask you a question? Did you notice contradictions in terms of like points of view when you kind of pieced it all together, or did when you translated it, more consistently, did the contradictions that seem to be there disappear, or were they there just as much as before?
Some stuff disappeared. Some
Yeah.
stuff disappeared just because the translation is better, and some stuff got magnified. Like if people want to hide it under the rug, no, now it's worse. Also because I'm just looking at it from a linguistic standpoint.
Yeah.
As you see, if Muslims, they want to just interview me on a channel of theirs, I will go, because I'm not lying here. I'm just talking linguistics. I'm just talking language. You see? So that's the idea.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be so interesting.
Right. I was hoping to get Jay Smith here, but I don't think he has spotted my message. He's probably taking a break today, I'm sure. But yeah, I think he's spotted, but I'd say he's probably busy today.
The word ruh also, Mel, in the Quran, it's translated as spirit, and this is not bad, but this is not 100% literal Arabic. The word is actually breath. So when God put into Jesus his own breath, that's in the Quran, man. But people, they will never ever do that. But that's in the Quran. Why do you want to hide? And we use this word. You know what we call a fan in Arabic? The fan that you have, which brings air. It's called marwaha, which comes from ruh, because it keeps giving you the breath of air that you breathe.
Yeah.
You see?
There is an Irish word it's pronounced rua as well. It means red, apparently, but Madra rua is the Irish word for fox. So it's interesting that the word "ru" is the same. It could be just as one of these linguistic coincidences that we see a lot of.
But you know, the funny thing is, when I make a video about these translations, I will get you the very same translator, how he uses the word ruh and translate it into breath one way, and then when it comes to Christ, then all of a sudden it's something else. It's not spirit, it's not breath, and it's the angel Jibreel. It's the angel Jibreel. How come I don't know? I don't know what are these people smoking, man. Really.
Yeah, actually, like, would you say the Trinity is there in the Quran? Like, when you look at all the key words, like you have the Spirit, you have the Son. Would that be fair to say?
I think maybe yes, because sometimes God in the Quran is mentioned as plural. And plural in Arabic means more than two. How do I know? Because two has a certain grammar. Once you pass two, three people, 4, 5, then you have a certain way of saying things. And Allah, also there is this word Allahumma that I found. And I found that Allahumma is probably the same as Elohim. Allahumma. But I've left it untranslated just as I have left Allah untranslated because I just want to leave it like that for more discussion and for more research. So sometimes he's mentioned, God is mentioned as plurality in the Quran.
What does it say in terms of Allah having daughters and the other goddesses and the cranes and so on? I mean, is there anything that's added in your translation that clarifies that?
I think this is like there is nothing major here, but there is this word which says, did you create for Allah sons and you have daughters, or the other way around? And this word in the Quran is actually a mistake in the Arabic, and I've left it the way it is in English. It's not create, it's breach. This is the perfect word, breach, and it's the same word used for people when they breached a ship. So you make a hole in it, or you just ruin it. So you breached for God daughters while you have sons. This is how the Arabic Quran is saying it.
Okay, that's...
Yeah.
And something else I want to tell you, Lloyd. The Quran never mentions this word children because this is more like a liberal word. It's only sons. So when it says Bani Israel, it means the sons of Israel. Sons only, exclusive. But of course, they make it children.
So anything that's potentially either embarrassing or inconvenient, they change in the translations, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Murad, it's been brilliant to hear that you have got that. Would you consider having printed versions through Amazon at some point?
No, I don't think so at all. It's not safe. It's not smart. It's not wise.
Yeah.
And it's just
security.
Yeah.
Reasons.
It's just much better for people to have it as a PDF
electronic.
Yeah. Much easier, and I don't want to think about post. When someone buys something and then he has a problem with it, I don't want to be thinking about that. He will just download it, and that's just fine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I want to take this question, Mel. Mariana says, does the Quran mention girls or only women? No, only women. Women and daughters. And this word that I told you about, Mel, also. A noble woman, a gentle woman of noble origins. It uses this with the Queen of Sheba. It uses this with other women. So either women or gentle women of noble origins. And this is weird. I don't know why.
I wonder is the circles in which those connected with writing the Quran are within the elite of society. So therefore, that's what they're concerned with, not sort of the the ordinary people. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if the Quran is created by the Umayyads, then they are the elite,
The elite,
the
yeah.
rich people, and
Yeah.
then it went to the streets. Maybe.
Yeah.
So all of this will be elucidated once a lot of people read it, because, like, I'm not the best one to interpret even my own translation. People must get it, and then they make discussions, and then they start making discoveries.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think?
could I just go? So sorry, Lloyd. Back to mentioning women. So in this, I can't remember the verse, but it's the one where it's saying, it talks about the ida, the waiting period. So when it talks about, does it talk about prepubescent women? Is that the word? What is that? 68.3 or 60? I don't have all of my work here where I am, so I can't remember that one.
Well,
That's
it's very critical to say that the Quran, when it says the women who did not menstruate,
yeah.
people assume a word and they put it right away, which is bad. And this is the word yet. They say who didn't menstruate yet. But the Arabic, it's 3 words. And the ones who did not menstruate. The end. So is this a
Okay.
little woman that didn't?
That's a
little
big
girl?
difference, actually.
Big
Big
difference. Is this just because she was a child, or is this someone who never menstruated for a certain reason? I don't know, and I don't want to know right now. You see, I just want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to give the ultra literal translation, and the ones who did not menstruate. The end of story.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. Oh, I can hardly wait for this.
And the word idda, they say waiting period. No, the word idda is just counting.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's the end. It's not waiting period. This is the sin. The sin is entwined on a level that you can't imagine. Everything
Yeah.
sin. Standard Islamic hooks. This is
Yeah.
not the literal Arabic.
Right.
So does this mean that it's actually very vague and undetailed, and they've filled in all of these brackets to try to make sense of it?
Yes, sir. And they're not filling the brackets with something that's logical. They are filling it with Bukhari, with Sunnah, with Ibn Kathir, with these people. That's why I leave it like this,
Yes.
just like the Arabic.
Couple of quick questions there. There's that one from Daniel, and I have another one from Silver Mubasser.
He says, what does istawa mean? This is a word that might also shake
the foundations?
Yeah, because it says Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa, and people translate it as that Allah have sitting on the throne. But istawa, it comes from sawa, and sawa means even out. Like when you make your bed, you even it out. So when Ar-Rahman, he didn't sit on the throne, he leveled himself 180, so he slept on his back.
Oh, right. That's a different
Well,
meaning.
Murad, last question. There's the possibility, of course, I mean, there is evidence that they modeled some of the Quran and the Sharia after the Talmud. Now, the Talmud, if you look at the original, is actually just very fragmentary words, which you have to be a fully educated scholar to fill in the context. Because when we read the Talmud today, we see the context, but the original is really fragmented. So, do you think that the Quran is written in the same way, and they couldn't make sense of it, so they had to fill in random context?
Yes, it's very fragmented. I definitely think this is the same way, because it really tired me to the bones how fragmented this book is. That's why you have to be very smart, and you have to not let your hand add any word. So the sentences in the Quran are very short and very fragmented. That's why they ruin it even more by adding this standard Islamic hoax to it. But the
Can be-
word and Mel, and the word and the ones who did not menstruate, it's as if this sentence has a continuation, but it's not there. Like, and as for the ones who didn't menstruate, what should we do? It's not there. That's why they give it the legislation for the sentence which is before it. That's the sin. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your impression of the authors? I'd say plural because we don't know if it's one or more authors. Do you get the impression that they're dummies, or do you get the impression that they're actually geniuses, and it just gives the false impression that they're dummies because of what appears to be mistakes, but actually there's something behind the gibberish?
No, they're not dummies. It's like a hard code, but it's not complete.
Yeah.
The code is written, but it's not complete. So what do? You work with the fragments, but don't add your interpretation yet. Just make a very good translation first, then let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
So no, it's not gibberish, it's not stupid. It's just too advanced and too fragmented at the same time. That's why most people say it's just gibberish. But I don't agree.
Yeah. There's a question there from Silver. In your Quran translation, who are Muslims told to seek guidance from in Surah 1643 and 21:7?
I have to look it up. 1643.
Put you on the spot here.
The question again. Who are Muslims told to seek guidance from? The people of the remembrance, i.e. the Jews and the Christians. End of story. So Muslims, if you do not know the story of Abraham, please go ask a rabbi. If you do not know the story of Jesus, please go ask a priest. That's what the Quran is telling you. It's as simple as that. And the remembrance as dhikr, it's mentioned in the Quran all the time. It's I think it's the Old Testament. It's not the Quran.
That's interesting.
But now Muslims, they take it Ahl al-Dhikr, meaning, sheikhs. So they are now sheikhs and they take a lot of money and stuff. No, the Quran is talking about a dhikr which precedes the Quran. So how come it is the Quran when it's actually precedes the Quran? That's the stupidity of the standard Islamic hoax.
Yeah. Good question there from Hegel. What do you make of AJ Juice's latest paper? You probably haven't been able to cover it much, or the series, because you're so busy. But
yeah, I've just looked here and there. To be honest, I download your videos and I listen to them as I sleep. So,
does it help?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
but
insomnia. That'll definitely put you to sleep.
No, it's not. It's. I say,
Yeah.
well, I will listen as I sleep, but then I
Yeah.
just sleep. So.
Yeah.
And I did not read Deuce's paper.
Yeah, it's a long
I'm
one.
just
That
so
one.
sucked in.
Yeah.
With the translation, but after like I sell this translation, I will get back to my senses.
Yeah, I think, from my point of view, I think the big picture, I think he's spot on. I think there is a Jewish connection at the foundation. It makes sense. The time and the place, the locations, it just makes sense. Yeah, he will screw up on sort of nitty gritty little things. His bias comes through a lot, and that's a real pain. But I think the overall picture, I think he's right. I think the Benjamin of Tudela and his description of the relationship between Judaism and Islam is the best thing we've got in terms of knowing what exactly was happening. So I think some of the smaller details he probably gets wrong here and there, but it's no biggie. That's all part and parcel of it.
But he seems to be very one-sided. I mean, there's obvious Gnostic references in Islam. There's clearly pagan references, and he skips over all of those. And at the very end, someone spoke to me about this when he mentions his grandfather was a Muslim. I mean, my ears just, little alarm bells went for my head at that point. So right or wrong.
No, I don't think. I think it was something like an in-law. He's I think he's got Jewish heritage, but I don't know who it was that was married to someone that was Muslim. I think something along those. I think it was like a father-in-law or something like that. I don't know, well, stepfather or something. Yeah, he's had exposure to Muslims, let's say, but yeah, he's consistent. He hates all religions. That's where he's coming from. That's his bias. He's quite upfront about that. And you kind of have to kind of just say, okay, that's now given that bias, you kind of have to filter through that bias and just see, has he got any valid points in amongst that? So I kind of, if I were to start saying, I'm not going to take on board his material because of this bias, I'd never be able to touch any academic paper.
Murad, were Muslims at any point claiming to be the original Jews, just like they claim to be the original Christians and they claim to be the real Christians? Did they make the same claim about the Jews?
In the Middle East, we used to be taught something like this when we were young, because as you know, of course, I'm originally a Muslim. So we used to be taught that we are the original Jews, then the original Christians, then now we are Muslims. We have the original Quran right now. But I remember I used to ask my teachers then, how come the Jews and the Christians are so different, vastly different? Like we should be at least close. So they did that. They never answered me, but that's the idea, that the original message of Abraham was monotheism, then the Jews corrupted it, then the Christians corrupted it.
There was someone in one of the comments who was from Baghdad was saying he remembers when he was a child hearing his grandfather say that Judaism was or Jews had founded Islam. That's what within the, sometimes in areas you have local knowledge, and like Baghdad was central, but it's kind of a mixed bag. I think the nub of this is trying to distinguish between the accretions over time, which could be pagan accretions, versus what actually was at the core at the beginning, before all the accretions. So what is the accretion? What is the core of how it began? I think overall, I would go with AJ Juice on the core of it being some form of Judeo-Christian foundation.
With the Quran, was there anything they were trying to minimize or mitigate or hide? Because the Yemeni stuff in the Quranic sources and everything I've read, they try to minimize that. They try to downplay it. Were you seeing anything being downplayed, Murad?
You mean in translating?
Yeah, like anything they're trying to shy away from to avoid, like anything was being downplayed.
Mostly anything that has to do with Jesus, or anything that has to do with the sons of Israel and the land, they inheriting the land, because this is like it's very, very clear in the Arabic that Allah gave the land to the sons of Israel. So I do not find it in this very blunt manner in the English translation as the way I want it. That's the two things that they really don't play. But and also there are some things that have to do with fasting. There is this word which is rafath. I don't know how they translate it in English. They say some weird stuff. But this word, when it says لا رفث للنساء في ليلة الصيام, meaning on the night of fasting, you should not do rafath. And rafath means dirty talk during sex, specifically coming from the dictionary. Dirty talk during sex. And also there is this other word when it says in عدتم من الغائط, and they say, well, if you touched the women or came back from the toilet. What toilet, my friend? It says غائط, it's very clear, it's the defecator. Defecate. This is how it's said. You see, the Quran is very blunt about it. So these are the things they try to hide, is that they don't want it to be so blunt. But the Quran is blunt. The Quran is not Like the authors of the Quran, they have nothing to hide. That's what I have found.
Yeah.
You know, they are not liberals. They just say it the way it is.
Yeah.
But that's not the translators.
When I first read the Quran, obviously in English, I felt like I needed a shower afterwards. I don't know if anyone else had that feeling. Feeling like you're just being bombarded with like rat-a-tat-tat. And does it feel like that when you're reading it in the Arabic? Or is it worse?
Could you like rephrase the question? I don't know exactly.
It's a bit like what Mariana said. It's blunt and disgusting. You know, when you first read the Quran, it just feels like you're being attacked over the head. And it's repetitive, and it's
to an English speaking audience, yes, it feels, you know, like if you will go to the bar with a gentleman, how he speaks, and if you go with a barbarian, like the barbarian, he is not shy. He's just gonna say it the way it is. That's the Quran. It is not shy. It is not shy at all. It just says that, and Allah in the Quran says it. Allah does not shy away from doing this and this and this.
Yeah.
You know, but you kind of respect it in a way. It's better than the sleazy, slimy person who's just trying to hide.
Yeah, yeah.
It just boggles my mind why a lot of that stuff is even in there.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? What's the point of that stuff being in there? Yeah, it's not a very nice book.
And the fact that there's so much of the same sort of stuff repeated over and over again, as if you hadn't heard it the first time. That's a bit strange.
Yeah, but I think this has to do with it being really oral tradition. That's why they have it this way. And what I am now sure of is that the Quran is not speaking to Muhammad. And because one of the 4 verses of Muhammad, it has it speaking to the reader about Muhammad. So how come you are speaking to Muhammad about Muhammad? This is very stupid. When it says you or say, it's just talking to the reader. It's like a manual that you take, and when you go to Jerusalem, I always get this idea, Mel. The Quran is talking to people who are trying to go to the Masjid al-Haram in Jerusalem, and they are always intercepted in the way, and they have to fight. This is what I get over and over again. So Paul Ellis is a genius. This is what's going on.
Yeah. Can I introduce you to a word? Do you know where the word saunter comes from?
The word what?
The word saunter is a reference to the pilgrims. They are going to the Santerre, the Holy Land. So Santerre, saunter. That's where it comes from. But
I did not know that.
Just saw that the other day. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we've over the last 3 or 4 years we've seen different theories about what exactly is happening with the Quran. So, for example, what's our French friend's name? Escapes me. That's weird. Gone straight out of my head. Odon. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Like Odon's idea was that it was like a master preacher that was training up the sub preachers to go out and spread the message, as it were, and that their main project was a translation of a lectionary into Arabic. And so whenever it refers to the Quran, it's talking about their translation that they're going to distribute. And I thought, okay, that's it. Now I've understood what the Quran is all about. And then I come across to AJ Deuce, and then AJ Deuce takes a surah and unpacks the coding that's going on in it, and it's actually to do with, say, Caliph Suleiman and what is happening in a contemporary time. And I'm like, God, I thought I was clear in terms of what's happening with the Quran when I saw Odin's, and now I'm not sure. But it seems like a patchwork of different things are going on, and then you have the incantation sections are added to it, which makes it all very, very confusing.
Yeah, and then we've got the one chapter as well that it's the jinns talking. It's not Allah talking. So what's all that about?
Yeah. Well, if the jinn are the Gaonim,
Well, yeah,
The-
that's it.
Then we have them. They're actually doing they're the we saying we make this.
Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
thing.
But yeah, and
But
I
if it's
only just,
demons, it makes no sense. Like,
no.
yeah,
I want to tell you something that will surprise you also. You know, in the Quran, there are multiple places where it says, when the Quran is read, then listen and pay attention. But you know, this word pay attention, of course, it's wrong from the translators. You know what is this word actually? It's eavesdrop.
What?
Like you have to be sneaky and you just stand outside and eavesdrop. This is the same with the jinn and with the human. You have to go in a sneaky way and eavesdrop. This is exactly the word.
Wow.
It's funny that I find this word in the Quran. Eavesdrop.
I wonder. I'd love to see what is in context. What were they? Can you say that again? The line that you mentioned when the
When the
Quran has
Quran-
been read, eavesdrop,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, listen and eavesdrop.
Yeah.
Also, the word qara'a, we used to say it means either read or recite. But now I can give you the final answer. It is read, not recite, because this word also means reading someone's facial expressions or reading between the lines. This is reading, not reciting. So
Okay.
so just say read from now on, because it's 100% read, and there is no recitation, there is no loud voices, there is no. It's just like reading the signs. Very critical.
Yeah.
Well, it is critical, and that would refer to what AJ Deuce is talking about, the code, reading between the lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would
That could
work.
be-
That would work. Yes.
That's kind of like the key to unlocking what's going on. They're dropping that in just in case people might have missed it.
So Quran is reading, but like reading between the lines, having to be smart about it,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
a code, breaking the Da Vinci Code. You
Yeah.
know, this is
Yeah.
the word more than recite. Recite is just silly, the way I
Like-
look at it now.
There's a section. There's a part where it's talking about David killing Jalut, and then
Yeah.
it's translated as Goliath. But if this is actually to do with the Gosh Galut, which is the Exilarch, then it has a completely different meaning. So it's the Messiah killing the Exilarch, you know,
That's
or
why
the-
I left it. That's why Mela, I left it as Talut and Jalut. I did not assume that this is David or this is Goliath,
yeah, that's better actually. Yeah,
because I have
Yeah.
to leave it open, because we never call David and Goliath Talut and Jalut in Arabic. We never do that.
no,
These
no.
are two different people.
Yeah, actually, when I see something odd happening, like whether it be in the Quran or the Hadiths, that's usually the indicator there's something worth paying attention to. When everything is just normal and unexpected, that's fine. But it's those moments that don't seem to add up. That's where there's something key that if you pay attention, work it out, it could actually reveal quite a lot. So it's yeah, I think that's kind of a key thing with the Quran anyway.
And when you read my translation, you will find that almost every single word is different. So you will be getting a different result. That's like 100%, especially in these last surahs. Of course, there are a lot of words that I do not know because they are not Arabic and they are not in the dictionary. I left them as such. But I did get to know a lot. And these are game changers.
Yeah. Just actually before,
Yeah.
I should. I did the last video I did on Jizya. I was amazed that there was a Basque word that was pronounced exactly the same, but then the linguist pointed out there was a Persian word that it's based on, which means to take something else. I'm not sure if it was if it had the word tax in it, but he questioned your etymology with that one.
Yeah, I have read his comment, and let me tell you that I agree with him.
Yeah.
But like not 100%. He says that Juz has nothing to do with Jizya,
Yeah.
But he is right, but he is not right if he is talking purely Arabic.
Yeah.
Purely Arabic is corrupt. That's
Yeah.
why I'm using a corrupt methodology, because Arabic is corrupted. So that's why I have to think like Jizya and Jaza, there is something between. In Arabic, in football, if you will take a penalty, it's called in Arabic ضربة جزاء. So Jizya, it's not recompense, it's something like penalty, but in a form of portion. Like you will
Right.
pay your portion, which
Yeah.
you did this wrong, you will pay a portion as a penalty. جزاء.
Yeah. Okay.
But I agree more actually with the linguist if we will incorporate Aramaic and Hebrew into the Quran and not just look at it as Arabic.
Yeah.
There are a lot of channels that say what we are saying is wrong. I will not name them. They're saying we are lunatics. Okay, my translation is just looking at the Arabic, purely Arabic. Let's say the whole Aramaic thesis is a hoax. Let's just use the Arabic translation. Now, when I come to these conclusions, don't shoot me in the back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never happened.
Murad, with it said that 25% of the Quran is translatable. Did you find this as you were going through, or I'm sure there's one or two verses that don't make sense, but did you find you were pretty much able to translate everything?
Yes, I have left almost close to 20% untranslated. But these are not whole verses. These are words. Because when I created the concordance, it's like I disassembled a device. I took every part outside. So there are words that do not have roots in the Arabic dictionary, and they do not have a meaning. And actually, when you find that these words, they are always translated the same all across translations, then you have to be skeptic. It means that they just copied from one another and they have no idea what this word actually is. So I have almost close to 20% untranslated because they just do not exist. They are not in the Arabic dictionary.
Right.
Just a related question from Mariana. While doing the translation, how much of it did you find was Aramaic, or was that something you were able to?
Well, it's
detect?
the same answer. It's let's say how much is not Arabic. Let's say, well, to be honest, I did not do a percentage, but just looking by my eyes, I could say from 15 to 20% not Arabic and does not exist in the Arabic, and we need an Aramaic speaker or a Hebrew to crack it. I can never crack it by my own.
And if it's coded words where they, that someone contemporary might be able to work out who it is. Like, say, for example, say I want to do a coded version of your name, I might, instead of saying Murad, I might say, I don't know, Morid. Okay. Someone might come along and not see that that's to do with Murad. But someone in the know might go, oh, well, it's Murad, Whereas there might be words like that where it's literally just a tiny little change. Suddenly it's like what's his name? Clark Kent putting on the glasses. Suddenly you don't recognize that it's Superman.
Some stuff I have seen as if I'm Clark Kent, but if I do not have a strong, what do you call it, lexicon, or if the word doesn't have a strong root that I can find in the Arabic dictionary, because in the future Muslims will ask me, will say, what are you saying here? I have to pick it out from the Arabic dictionary. If I can't find that, I will not make assumptions.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Question here from Daniel. Sorry.
No.
What does that word mean? I don't know what it is.
This is Al-Qayyum. This is an Aramaic word. That's why I have left it untranslated. But if we will look at it as a purely Arabic word, it comes from Qa'im, Yaqum, meaning upright. So as if God is always staying upright. That's why I did not translate it. It's not Arabic. It is Aramaic, and perhaps it means something like everlasting. So God is everlasting. And this makes sense, of course.
Okay. we've just a few minutes left. If each of you want to make a final comment, and we'll close out. Who'd like to start?
Well, very interesting, Murad. I'm just sitting here thinking. It's like that's why I've been so silent. I'm just taking it all in, and I mean, we should do this again once we've had a chance to study some of it. You know, a chapter or something, because it just really makes me think: how does this change our perception, our polemics, our understanding, our exegesis, our history, our interpretation? It's what's going to be the biggest change? Do you think? What has been the biggest one for you? That's my comment and last question.
Well, the one about the pigs, of course, is surprising because I have found in the Arabic dictionary that the word khinzir doesn't necessarily mean pig, it means something else. And this something else makes perfect sense when you look at it in the verse. And because Muslims, of course, especially in the West, they have an identity crisis. They want to avoid pigs right in front of your eyes to tell you, you know what, I am Muslim, I am here to stay, and I will take over this country. This is the mindset. And this is, of course, also the mindset of someone like Daniel Pikachu, even if he will he will act liberal. So this one with the pork, because I see the Quran doesn't say pork, it says something else. This is mind-blowing. A lot of other things are mind-blowing. The whole translation is kind of mind-blowing to the point that I do not count now. Everything is different. Let me tell you something else. The word about Ramadan, that you have to fast it, then it says ayaman ma'dudat. People don't know that this word is specific to 11 days. So you have to fast 11 days. Something like this. Or how long will I stay in hell? Not just counted days, it's a specific number, less than 11, for example. And I have got this from the dictionary. This is the Arabic dictionary. This is not something genius, but they never open it. They just open Bukhari, they open the words of Muhammad, they open Ibn Kathir, and they just cast aside the Arabic dictionary. That's the idea.
So here's my question. And obviously the Quran, this one here is, I've got the Arabic and English, but wouldn't most of these imams and sheikhs and whatever learn the Quran in Arabic? And if so, why wouldn't they already know the true meaning that you found with your concordance? Like, they wouldn't be referring to the English translations, because the English translations obviously hides what the Arabic means.
Well,
does that make sense, that question?
Yeah, it makes sense, but the problem is they are so wrong to the point that maybe what I'm saying is not very convincing, but they ignore what the word means just as a word, and then they go to what the imams and the fiqh, which is like Ibn Kathir, how Ibn Kathir understood it, how
Right.
Al-Tabari understood it.
Okay.
So
like they're trying to fit it into the standard Islamic narrative, in other words, is somehow they'll cram it into that.
Yeah, and the problem is I don't have a word right away. But let's say the word nikah, for example, which today it means like the F word. But in the Quran, this word, it means marriage. And of course, this is a... Muslims will debate me. No, not Muslims. Muslims will be happy about this, but they will not be happy with the rest of the translation. But so you will ask me, how did this word morph into just having sex? I will tell you, this comes from the Sunnah. This comes from the sin, but it's not from the Quran. In other words, the people who wrote the sin, they did not really understand the Quran because they had no Aramaic knowledge, no Hebrew, and apparently also no Arabic. These people, they were Persians, and they were not of very high quality. They were just writing this stuff for people to have fun. You know, the Sunnah, not the Sunnah, Mel, you know, the biography of Muhammad.
Sura, yeah.
Yeah, the caliph asked the guy to write it for his son. You know, like 1001 nights. If I'm gonna write something to your son, I'm gonna just write fantasy. So this is not stuff that you have to take seriously. These people, they are so wrong, and they do not know the language.
Right.
That's why. And of course, Karen, in the future when I make videos, I will make this stuff very, very clear with examples and with PowerPoints. And
Yeah. Well, today's just a discussion, so I wasn't expecting anything like that, and I'm sure the audience wasn't. Mel, you didn't lead anybody to think it was going to be that. So no, this has just been absolutely fascinating, interesting. I can hardly wait to get this. It'll be,
it's going to be a game changer. Just my final thought, I think, Murad, would be there's going to be a lot. You mentioned them earlier on. There's going to be a lot of people on our side who dismiss this work, this historical critique, think we're all lunatics, but we're doing the hard work. It's way harder to actually find out what really happened than just accept the standard Islamic narrative. Do you think they will come on board when they see the translation of the Quran, or are they going to bury their heads in the sand, or what do you think is going to happen?
well, Muslims, they will find the stuff that they like, and they will say, "See, even Murad, the atheist, is on our side," and they will say stuff like this. But when it comes to Jesus, that he is God in the Quran, for example, they will play dead. So this, we know that this will happen. But what's more important is progressing this. I think of it really as progressing this discourse forward. Lloyd had to go. Thank you very much, Lloyd,
thank
for
you,
being
Lloyd.
here.
Yeah.
It was a great pleasure always, and we will talk again, of course.
Yeah.
So you see, Mel, what I want to do is that I want to make it like pre my translation and post. I want to progress this conversation forward like 10 years ahead. This work is 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
That's why you will find in the future we are talking about different subjects and discussing different matters, because I have done the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Do you know, sometimes when I look at the academics and what they're coming up with, it's like stuff that we would have spoken about 10 years ago. It just seems like we're on a different level, even though we're amateurs, because they don't question so much of what's being presented. It's kind of like, it reminds me of a journalist who's not allowed to say that some criminal that's caught is guilty and has to play around footsie around this, Well, the alleged person was found with a hammer and blood on it, but we don't know who the guilty person is yet. It's kind of feels like that, And whereas we're the sort of guys that would basically just say, it's him. But
yeah, believe me, this translation, you remember, of course, when the very first video we did together, let me tell you that this work is just something different. It's very, very different.
Yeah.
It's unique, and people I know people, most of them will be skeptic, especially when I collaborate with large channels, people who do not know me. They will be very skeptic. That's why I will make the sample, free sample. But once they read it, they will know, there is something different. Actually, there is one of the letters in the very first surah that I have cracked. I told you about it. But I did not crack the rest, because that's a different issue. So one letter is cracked from the mysterious letters.
Oh,
that's good.
That's interesting.
And it has to do with incantations. It's a sort of incantation also.
Oh, wow.
That makes sense, yeah.
So imagine, after this translation circulates in the hands of people, then I get to do one with the Aramaic and the Hebrew roots, consulting the Aramaic speakers and stuff. It's gonna be something else.
Yeah. So then we'll be able to see the progression from the early time of the Quran to later as well, hopefully through that, being able to compare the old and the new sort of thing.
Yes, Karen?
Oh, okay. So I just had a thought. I don't, it's not quite there, but on the other hand, so all of the words that you aren't able to translate because they're in Aramaic or Hebrew or whatever, could you almost do a red letter, meaning those words like galoot, for example, if well, we know that word is not, you haven't translated it, but when you do, let's say you do translate that, and I'll just say you translate that to David, could you then like highlight that so we know that was not an Arabic word originally, that, you know, that so we can tell the difference, like everything else was Arabic, because it might make it easier if you know, we're talking to Muslims and they say, oh, well, you know, no, he doesn't know anything, and that word is actually this. And but if it's obvious that word was Aramaic or Hebrew, only because maybe it's red, it might make it easier for us trying to explain in the future.
Well, you see, in this translation, then no. And the reason is...
No, I'm not saying this one.
The next one? The next
Yeah.
one, it will be even better than you expect. I have this and more. But it is a sort of surprise because I don't want people to copy my idea. It's just an idea that I have been thinking about. It's going to be phenomenal. So don't worry. It will have everything and it will be easy to navigate.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
So on that's probably a good place to stop. Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to John. Thanks to Lloyd, and thanks Saint Murad as well. So it's been great. I hope everyone enjoyed that and got a lot of ideas from it. I'm sure we could have easily taken one of those ideas and done a whole stream just on those ideas. We covered a lot of ground. So thank you for the lively conversation, and thanks to everyone who asked a question or added a comment. It was really amazing when everyone kind of interacts with each other. We kind of make it very interesting. So thanks everyone. And
thank you.
And thank you very much for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your Easter. So
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye all.